My beloved child. Last night, your soulmate sat across from a woman they had never met before and asked a question they had been too afraid to ask anyone else. Not their family. Not their friends. Not even themselves. They placed 3 photographs on the table. One was someone their family liked. One was someone they had recently been encouraged to get to know. And the last photograph was you. Your soulmate looked at the woman and asked, "If I ever get married, who do you think it will be?" The woman didn't answer. She looked at the first photograph. Then the second. Then her eyes reached yours. And stopped. Completely. For several seconds. She said nothing. Your soulmate became nervous. What? The woman slowly touched the corner of your photograph. Then looked directly at them. But instead of saying, "This is the person you're destined to marry," she asked something far more uncomfortable. "Why are you asking me to choose the person you already know you haven't emotionally let go of?" Your soulmate froze. "What are you talking about?" The woman pointed toward your photograph again. Then asked, "Did you lose them, or did you keep delaying until they finally stopped waiting?" Your soulmate's face changed. And suddenly, the room didn't feel mystical anymore. It felt painfully real. Because whether this woman had intuition, experience, or was simply noticing the way your soulmate looked at your photograph, she had touched the one question they had avoided for months. Then she went silent again. Your soulmate whispered, "Why did you stop when you looked at them?" The woman replied, "Because you did." Your soulmate frowned. She continued, "Your life kept moving. But emotionally, some part of you stopped at this person." And that's when your soulmate finally admitted the truth. "I still love them." Before we continue, remember this is an emotional, spiritual style story, not a literal claim that psychics can identify who someone is destined to marry or predict anyone's future. What matters here isn't a supernatural prediction. It's what your soulmate finally had to admit after seeing your photograph sitting beside 2 people they knew they didn't love the same way. Months earlier, things between you and your soulmate had not ended because love disappeared. That would have been simpler. You still loved them. They still loved you. But your soulmate had a problem with decisions. Especially permanent-sounding ones. They could talk about the future when it was playful. If we ever lived together, if we ever got married, if we ever had a house, those conversations were easy. Because if protected them, nothing had to happen. Then one night, you asked, "Do you actually see marriage with me?" Your soulmate immediately became uncomfortable. You noticed. "You don't have to say yes. I know. I don't need you to propose. I know." "Then why do you look scared?" Your soulmate laughed nervously. "Because that's a huge question." You looked at them. "Is it?" "Yes." "I didn't ask when." They said nothing. "I asked whether you see it." Your soulmate looked down. "Finally, I can imagine it." You waited. But? They sighed. I don't know if I believe in knowing that far ahead. Your face changed slightly. You tried not to make it bigger. Okay. Your soulmate could hear disappointment. Don't do that. Do what? Say okay like I failed some test. You became quiet. Then, this isn't a test. What is it then? You looked at them. I'm trying to understand whether I'm building towards something with you or just helping you feel loved while you decide what you want. That sentence stayed with them. Your soulmate loved you. But they also feared making the wrong choice. Their parents had a difficult marriage. They had watched people promise forever and later become strangers. So somewhere along the way, your soulmate developed a belief. If I'm not completely certain, I shouldn't commit. The problem? Nobody is completely certain. You didn't need certainty. You needed willingness. You tried explaining that. I don't need you to know we'll never fail. Your soulmate replied, then what do you need? I need to know you aren't keeping one foot outside the relationship in case we do. That hit them. Because it was true. They loved you fully in moments, but always kept an emotional exit nearby. If the relationship became difficult, they could say, maybe this isn't right. If the future became serious, I don't know. If you needed reassurance, why can't we just take things day by day? You tried. But eventually, day by day started feeling like, don't ask me where we're going. Then family pressure arrived. Your soulmate's mother had someone in mind. Not formally. No arranged marriage. Nothing like that. Just a woman named Claire. Claire was successful. Calm. Close to the family. Everyone liked her. Your soulmate had known her for years. Their mother once said, you and Claire make sense. Your soulmate laughed. You were sitting right there. Nobody meant it as cruelty. But you felt something sink inside you. Your soulmate replied, Mom, stop. Their mother laughed. I'm joking. Conversation moved on. You didn't. Later, you asked, do you think Claire makes sense? Your soulmate stared at you. What? Your mother does. She's joking. That wasn't my question. No, have you ever thought about her that way? Your soulmate hesitated. Only for a second. But you saw it. You looked away. They immediately said, not seriously. You almost laughed. Not seriously. You know what I mean. No, then, actually, I don't. Your soulmate became frustrated. I chose to be with you. You replied, then why does every conversation about choosing me sound like I'm forcing something out of you? Silence. That was the wound. Your soulmate said they chose you. But they often behaved as though choosing you closed doors they still wanted available. You weren't asking them to hate Claire. You weren't asking them to reject everyone their family liked. You were asking for clarity. One evening, things finally broke open. You and your soulmate were talking about a wedding invitation. Someone you both knew was getting married. You joked, maybe someday that'll be us. Your soulmate became quiet. Immediately. You saw it. And this time, you didn't pretend not to. You asked, why does that sentence scare you so much? It doesn't. It does. No, you went from smiling to looking like I handed you a contract. Your soulmate sighed. I don't want to talk about marriage every week. Your face changed. We don't. It comes up a lot. Because we're serious. Are we? The second those words left their mouth, your soulmate regretted them. You froze. They tried to fix it. That came out wrong. You stared at them. Did it? Yes. So what did you mean? Your soulmate couldn't explain. Because the truth was ugly. They knew the relationship was serious. They just didn't like feeling how serious it was. You nodded slowly. Then said, I think I've been treating your fear like a temporary phase. Your soulmate listened. And? You looked at them. Maybe your fear is the answer. No, then what is? I don't know. You laughed sadly. Exactly. That night. You cried alone. Not because your soulmate said they didn't love you. Because they did. And somehow, that made everything more confusing. A few weeks later, you stopped bringing up the future. Your soulmate noticed. At first, they felt relief. No pressure. No marriage conversations. No difficult questions. Then something strange happened. They started missing the version of you who asked. You were still kind. Still present. But quieter. Less hopeful. You stopped saying, when we, and started saying, if I ever, your soulmate noticed. One evening they asked, why do you keep talking about the future like I'm not in it? You looked at them. For a long time. Then, because whenever I put you in it, you become afraid. That shut them up. You continued, I don't want to keep making plans for two people when one of us won't admit whether they're actually coming. Your soulmate's eyes filled. I love you. You nodded. I know. Again. Those two words. I know. Love had already been established. The question had moved beyond it. You said, I need someone who can love me and still make a decision. Your soulmate whispered, what if I make the wrong one? You answered, then at least it will be yours. That sentence stayed with them. Because your soulmate had spent years trying not to make wrong choices. And in doing so, they kept allowing fear to make choices for them. Eventually, you stepped away. You didn't leave for somebody else. You didn't leave because Claire existed. You didn't even leave because your soulmate refused to promise marriage. You left because you could no longer live inside permanent uncertainty. Your final conversation was quiet. Your soulmate asked, "Is this really what you want?" You cried. No, they looked confused. Then stay. You shook your head. Wanting to stay isn't the same as being able to keep living like this. They reached for your hand. You let them. You said, "I don't need you to marry me tomorrow." I know. I don't even need you to promise that we're definitely going to get married. I know. Then, I needed to feel like building toward me wasn't something you kept needing protection from. Your soulmate cried. You did too. Then you left. Months passed. Your soulmate tried to move forward. Their family encouraged it. Claire became more present again. Not because she was manipulating anyone. She liked your soulmate. That was true. And after your breakup, she finally admitted it. I don't want to make things weird. Your soulmate knew what was coming. Claire said, I've liked you for a long time. Your soulmate didn't know what to say. So they made the same mistake they had made before. I don't know if I'm ready. Claire heard, maybe later. Your soulmate should have said, I still love someone else. They didn't. Why? Because admitting that would force them to acknowledge the breakup hadn't emotionally ended. And maybe some part of them also wanted to see whether being with someone easier would finally make commitment feel easy. Claire was patient. Their family loved her. There was no pressure to explain the relationship. Everyone already approved. But your soulmate noticed something. The absence of conflict didn't create love. Claire could sit beside them at dinner. Their family would smile. No tension. No questions. And your soulmate would still go home thinking about you. One night Claire asked, Do you think you could ever see yourself with me? Your soulmate froze. The question was almost identical to one you had asked. And suddenly, they heard how painful their old answer must have sounded. They said, I don't know. Claire's face fell. Then your soulmate caught themselves. No, Claire looked up. Your soulmate continued, That isn't fair. What? I do know something. They took a breath. I'm still in love with someone else. Claire looked hurt. But also relieved. Because clarity hurts once. False hope hurts repeatedly. She asked, You mean them? Yes. Do they know? No, why not? Your soulmate laughed sadly. Because apparently I am very good at knowing things after they're no longer useful. Claire almost smiled. Then became serious. Then don't make me your waiting room. That sentence hit. Your soulmate apologized. Claire stepped back. And perhaps for the first time, your soulmate gave someone a clean answer before uncertainty could become months of pain. That was growth. But they still didn't contact you. Why? Because they remained afraid. What if you had moved on? What if you hated them? What if they finally said, "I choose you," and you answered, "Too late"? Your soulmate had spent their entire life avoiding choices that could hurt. And you were still the biggest one. Then Olivia suggested the psychic. Your soulmate laughed. "No," Olivia said, "you've asked me whether you should contact them 20 times. That doesn't mean I need a psychic." Correct. Then, but apparently normal advice isn't working. Your soulmate rolled their eyes. A week later. They went. Maybe curiosity. Maybe desperation. Maybe they were simply tired of hearing their own thoughts. They brought photographs because Evelyn, the woman they met, had asked them to bring images of the people involved. Claire. Another person their family had recently introduced them to. And you. Evelyn looked at Claire's photograph first. "Do you love this person?" Your soulmate answered, "No." Simple. The second? "No." Then yours. Silence. Your soulmate's body changed before they spoke. Evelyn noticed. She didn't need supernatural powers for that. She asked, "Why is this photo different?" Your soulmate said nothing. Then, "I don't know." Evelyn smiled slightly. "You do." Your soulmate looked at her. "What are you supposed to see?" Evelyn answered, "I see someone asking a stranger to make a decision they don't want responsibility for." That stung. Your soulmate laughed nervously. "That's harsh." "Is it wrong?" No answer. Evelyn asked, "Who do you want me to tell you you'll marry?" Your soulmate looked toward your photograph. There. The answer without words. Evelyn pointed at it. Then went silent. Your soulmate stared. "What?" She asked, "What would happen if I told you this is the person?" Your soulmate answered immediately, "I'd want to call them." "And if I told you it wasn't?" A longer pause. "I'd still want to call them." Evelyn leaned back. "Then why are we discussing destiny?" That changed everything. Your soulmate stared at her. She continued, "You don't need me to tell you who you're destined to marry. Then, you need to decide whether you're finally willing to have an honest conversation with the person you already know matters to you." Your soulmate's eyes filled. Evelyn looked at your picture again. Then asked, "What did they need from you?" "Clarity." "Could you give it?" "Not then." "Can you now?" Your soulmate hesitated. "Old habit." "Then, I can give more than I did." Evelyn smiled. "Better answer." "Not, I'm completely healed." "Not, I'm certain we'll marry." "Just, I can show up differently." Your soulmate asked, "So you're not going to tell me whether we'll get married?" "No, seriously." Evelyn laughed. "You really want to pay me to remove every risk from your love life?" Your soulmate smiled through tears. Then she said, "Marriage is not meaningful because somebody predicted it." Pause. "It is meaningful because two people keep choosing it after they are allowed to choose freely." Your soulmate looked down. That sentence changed the way they thought about you. For years, they had waited to feel certain enough to choose. Now they understood something. Commitment isn't the absence of uncertainty. It's choosing honestly in its presence. Your soulmate went home. They didn't message you immediately. They waited until morning. Not because they were playing games. Because they wanted the emotional intensity of the psychic session to settle. They asked themselves, if Evelyn had said nothing about the photo, would I still want to contact them? Yes. If Claire wanted me tomorrow, would that change who I love? No. If my family told me you're the wrong choice, would I still want the conversation? Yes. Then your soulmate opened your chat. They typed, "This is going to sound ridiculous, but I went to see a psychic last night, you saw it." You almost laughed immediately. Another message, "Before you judge me, I already judge myself," you actually smiled. Then, she asked who I thought I was destined to marry, your stomach tightened. Your soulmate continued, "I brought your photo," you stared. Then, "She didn't tell me you were my destiny," that surprised you. Another, "She asked why I needed a stranger to make a decision I already knew I wanted to face," you sat down. Then the important message, "I still love you," your heart reacted immediately. But your soulmate continued before you could answer. And for the first time, I don't want to use those words as a replacement for clarity, you read that twice. Then, "I don't know whether we'll ever get married," your eyes widened slightly. Not the romantic line expected from a psychic story. But then, "I do know that when I imagine building a real life with someone, you're still the person I think about." Another, "And I know I lost you partly because I kept treating uncertainty like proof I shouldn't move forward," that felt honest. You replied, "Why are you telling me now?" Your soulmate answered, "Because I finally realized waiting until I can guarantee the outcome is just another way of never choosing." You stared. Then asked, "What do you want, this time?" Your soulmate didn't say, "Marriage." They said, "A conversation, then, and if you're willing after that, the chance to show you what clarity looks like in normal life, not just in a dramatic message, good." You agreed. One conversation. When you met, you couldn't resist. So which psychic-approved wedding venue did you choose? Your soulmate laughed. "I deserve that." Absolutely. Then you became serious. "You really brought my photo?" "Yes." "And Claire's?" Your soulmate's face changed slightly. "Yes." You nodded. "Thank you for telling me." They explained what happened with Claire. You listened. Then asked, "Did you ever want her?" Your soulmate answered, "I wanted life with her to feel easier." Not the same thing. They continued, "But I realized easier wasn't the same as deeper." You looked at them. "And that isn't fair to Claire either." "No, I told her the truth." "Before seeing the psychic?" "Yes." That mattered. Your soulmate wasn't rejecting Claire because a stranger pointed at your photograph. They had already begun becoming clearer. You asked, "So do you think we're destined to get married?" Your soulmate smiled. Then answered, I think destiny is a very convenient word for people who are scared of decisions. You smiled too. Then they continued, I think I love you. I think I can imagine marrying you. And I think if anything ever happens again, I want us to build toward whatever future is right without pretending either of us can know exactly where it ends. That answer was better than, yes, destiny says we're getting married. You nodded. That's closer to what I wanted before. I know. You raised an eyebrow. Your soulmate laughed. Sorry. Then, I finally understand what you were asking before. Better. You didn't reunite instantly. You talked. Slowly. And your soulmate's growth wasn't tested by marriage. It was tested by ordinary things. Planning a weekend. Would they answer clearly? Yes. Family asked whether the two of you were back together. Would they hide? They said, we're rebuilding communication. Please give us space. A disagreement happened. Would they disappear? They said, I need an hour, but I am coming back. And they did. One night. You asked, what if we try again and it still doesn't work? Old fear appeared on your soulmate's face. You saw it. Then they breathed. And answered, then we'll know we made honest choices with the information we had. You looked at them. They continued, I don't want fear of a possible ending to ruin something real before it has the chance to live. There. That was the change. Not certainty. Courage. My beloved child. It's tempting to hear a story about a psychic pointing at your photograph and make the entire message about destiny. But maybe there is something more useful here. No stranger can guarantee who someone will marry. No photograph can promise a wedding. No prediction can create a healthy relationship. But sometimes an unusual question forces someone to stop hiding. Your soulmate asked, who am I destined to marry? And perhaps the better question was always, who am I finally willing to love with clarity? They looked at other possibilities. Good people. Easier people. People their family approved of. But your photograph made them stop. Not because the universe signed a marriage certificate. Because looking at you brought back the truth they had spent months avoiding. They loved you. They had imagined a future with you. And fear, not lack of feeling, had repeatedly stopped them from building toward it. Now, for the first time, they understand that marriage isn't something you become ready for by eliminating every unknown. Love always contains unknowns. The question is whether two people can face them honestly. If this story touched your heart, comment, I choose courage over fear. Not as a prediction. Not to guarantee marriage. As a reminder. You deserve someone who doesn't need a psychic, a third party, a crisis, or the threat of losing you to finally become honest. You deserve someone who can say, I don't know everything about our future. And still follow it with, but I know I want to build it with you. Last night, a psychic pointed toward your photograph. then went silent. And your soulmate thought the silence meant she had seen something extraordinary. Maybe she had simply seen something painfully obvious. Every time your soulmate looked at the other photographs, they were asking, could this work? But when they looked at yours, the question was different. Why did I let fear convince me not to try? That question, not destiny, may be what finally changes everything.